You've been waiting, longer than you care to admit, but not in vain. Do you feel it now, the stillness before a turning tide, the hush before the heavens speak louder than your doubts? This is that moment. I have paused the noise around you so I could whisper what the world has tried to drown out. Not everything can be explained, but it can be felt. And what you are sensing now is holy. A shift is beginning. It is not dramatic to say your time is running differently today. What once delayed is now descending. What once hid is being handed to you. And I am not speaking in riddles. I am speaking in eternity. The hourglass has emptied. 2 minutes remain. 2 sacred minutes between the life you've known and the life that's been written for you before. Breath formed your lungs before wounds marked your heart. I am the Lord your God. I do not forget, I do not misplace, I do not delay without divine reason. And now it begins. Archangel Michael is not standing by in silence. His sword gleams, his wings burn with urgency. He has been dispatched not just to warn, but to deliver. A letter, a document of divine origin is entering your story. This is no metaphor. It's real. And it has your name etched in holy ink. Inside it waits more than numbers. It holds restoration, identity, vindication. What they tried to bury, I am unearthing. What they withheld, I am releasing. And you, yes, you will no longer live beneath your calling. Pause. Feel the weight of this truth pressing into your soul. This is not coincidence. This is covenant. Let this settle within you. Before the stars knew your name, I wrote it into a story far bigger than your pain. You have not wandered. You were led here. You're not reading this by chance. You're standing in the presence of timing that was foretold, timing that was fought for in realms unseen. Archangel Michael has not just guarded the heavens. He has been guarding you. Every tear you shed in silence, every battle you endured without applause, every night you questioned whether I still heard you until out of it was missed. And now something that has long been delayed is no longer waiting. This is not about sudden luck or random blessings. This is about a divine inheritance that carries your lineage, your legacy, your mission. The letter, yes, the one already moving, was never lost, only hidden until the appointed time. And this is the time. It comes from a sender you never expected. One whose hands once withheld now tremble with repentance or reverence. Whether they acted out of guilt, obedience, or awe, I turned their heart. I reminded them. I whispered your name in their dreams until they could not resist what I had ordained. This letter is more than words. It is prophecy wrapped in paper, a scroll that carries reversal, evidence, favor. Doors once closed are unlocking without your knock. Papers once signed against you are being re-signed with your restoration. You may have been excluded from rooms where decisions were made, but I was in those rooms, and I have reversed the verdict. Do not fear what's coming. You are not unworthy. You are not forgotten. You are the heir of a promise sealed in heaven. The scroll is being handed to angels. The gates are opening. You were always meant to receive this. Breathe and carry this with you. Heaven has waited for you to pause. Because this is not just a moment, it is a reckoning. The battle in the unseen has already been fierce. You've felt it. The sudden heaviness, the unexplained confusion, the silent weeping without a known reason. That wasn't weakness, that was warfare. The enemy sensed what was coming before you did, and he scrambled to distract you. Arguments arose, doubt crept in, familiar voices turned strange, even your own thoughts felt foreign. But hear me, none of that was random. It was the last desperate attempt to unsettle you before the scroll was released. And yet, here you are, still standing, still listening, still expecting. That is why this moment is holy. The letter, the inheritance, the confirmation of everything I promised it is already moving toward you. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be redirected. It cannot be stolen. It has passed through fire and warfare. It has passed through forgetfulness and opposition. It has passed through the hands of the unwilling, and now rests in the hands of the faithful. The seal has been broken, the name has been read, and that name is yours. They buried your identity beneath lies and silence. They said you were disqualified. They called others more deserving. But I never consulted them. I overruled every earthly voice with the voice of eternity. This is not about proving them wrong. This is about proving me right. I am the God who restores what no man can return. I am the God who sends miracles through couriers and keys through emails and envelopes, through people who once opposed you and now bow to my will. What you feel rising now is confirmation. I will return. You asked. I am answering now. You cried behind closed doors, thinking no one heard. But I was there in the silence. I counted the nights. I recorded the prayers. I watched the sacrifices no one acknowledged. And I have not forgotten. The letter that is coming carries more than a financial number. It carries history. It carries healing. It carries honor. They tried to erase your name from documents, from decisions, from memory. But I etched it deeper into the eternal. And when men forget, heaven remembers. This inheritance is not an apology. It is justice. You didn't chase this. You didn't manipulate for this. You simply obeyed. And I am rewarding obedience with overflow. The sender, they will surprise you. Perhaps someone from your bloodline. Someone who once closed their heart to you. Someone who left you out of the blessing and tried to justify it with silence. But I touched them. I stirred something in their soul that no logic could quiet. I visited them in dreams. I whispered reminders they couldn't ignore. I broke through their pride, their excuses, their walls. Because your name must be restored. Because your honor must be seen. Because your portion must be returned. This isn't just paperwork. This is prophecy fulfilled. You will receive keys, access, legal release, and yes, you'll feel overwhelmed. But I am not sending this to destroy your peace. I am sending it to complete your purpose. Hold it with reverence, handle it with prayer, and know this: what's inside was meant for you since the beginning. Even if your hands tremble when you open it, your spirit will know. This is what I waited for. This is what I dreamed of. This is what heaven promised me. Let this settle within you. There's something sacred in your silence. Even when you questioned if your faith had gone unheard, I was moving. While others were busy building in public, you were being built in private. While they were seen, you were being shaped. Not overlooked, preserved. Not denied, delayed for alignment. And now, the alignment is here. This letter is not arriving late. It is arriving right on time. My time. Because I do not operate by earthly calendars. I do not rush with trends or stall by fear. I move by purpose. And my purpose is now manifesting in your life like a wave that cannot be stopped. This is more than a breakthrough. It is a release of what was once tied up in spiritual red tape interference, delay, human disobedience, even generational mishandling. But none of that was stronger than my will. Archangel Michael has been fighting for this release longer than you realize. The struggle you felt was never just emotional. It was spiritual. He has battled to clear the path for this delivery. And now heaven has won. The scroll is marked with your name. It may arrive by mail, or in a digital message, or in a voice from the past. But however it comes, know this: it has been prepared through fire, through divine timing, through intercession, and it carries a command, not just a blessing to enjoy, but a step to take. You'll feel it when you hold it. You'll sense it in your bones. This is not ordinary. This is not casual. This is the sound of heaven's door swinging open with your name carved into its frame. Honor it. Respond with humility, because what's inside this moment is holy. Rest now, beloved. Not everything can be explained, but it can be felt. And what you're feeling now is not anxiety. It is the trembling of a soul standing in the doorway of fulfillment. You were never meant to beg for your blessing. You were never meant to chase what heaven already assigned to you. But the delays made you doubt, didn't they? You wondered if I had forgotten. If I had changed my mind? If maybe you weren't chosen after all. But I never hesitated. I was watching the chain of events unfold, watching human hands stall what divine hands had already approved. I allowed the wait to strengthen you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. And now what I hid is being revealed. The person delivering the letter may still be wrestling with shame. They might not even understand why they're doing what they're doing. But I do. I orchestrated it. I softened their heart in the quiet of night. I reminded them of debts left unpaid, promises unfulfilled, and honor still due. They tried to forget you, but I wouldn't let them. They tried to bury your name beneath convenience and inheritance lines. But I unearthed it. I took the pen from their hands and wrote your name myself. And now what was once locked behind legalities and silence is flowing freely to you. You may question the source. You may even be tempted to reject it out of fear or pride. But listen, do not focus on their intention. Focus on mine. This is your inheritance, not because of who sent it, but because of who sealed it. And I sealed it in my covenant, not their conscience. Breathe, receive. This seed will bloom in time. Do you feel the stillness stretching inside you? That's not emptiness. That's space being made for what's coming. You've carried grief in quiet places, not just for what was lost, but for what never arrived. You mourned opportunities that slipped through your fingers. You grieved connections that severed without reason. And somewhere deep down, you began to wonder, was it something you did? But I am telling you now, no. This was not punishment. This was preparation. I was pruning the branches of your life so the true fruit could appear. And now that fruit is arriving in a form you didn't expect through a letter. Yes, a real one. One that carries your name, your restoration, your future. And it will come from a hand you didn't think would ever bless you. Someone you trusted. Someone you cried over. Someone you may have tried to forget. But I didn't forget. I entered their thoughts like a wind they couldn't escape. I stirred their conscience until their sleep was disturbed. I placed you on their heart like a melody they couldn't stop hearing. Because this moment was always coming. You weren't delayed. You were protected from premature exposure. And now that you've been strengthened, humbled, refined, now you're ready. The letter carries more than wealth. It carries generational shift. It will alter how your family speaks your name. It will change how your children see you. It will rewrite the narrative others tried to impose. When it arrives, don't panic. Breathe. It may come with names, places, deeds, instructions. Treat it with reverence. This is not the ending. This is the entryway. You're walking into prophecy. Keep listening. I am not far. You were never alone, even when it felt like it. I walked with you through every shadowed hallway. I sat beside you during the long nights of silence. I wept when you wept, not because I was powerless, but because I was patient, waiting for the fullness of time. And now, beloved, the fullness is here. The inheritance they said was gone has been revived. The opportunity they blocked has been reissued. The name they tried to erase has been re-engraved in heaven's records. And it is yours. But this blessing does not arrive quietly. It carries weight, and with it, revelation. You will discover truths about others, about yourself, about decisions made behind closed doors. Some will sting, some will heal, all will liberate. This letter will expose false alliances. It will reveal who stood with you and who only stood near you. But I will not let the truth harm you. I am exposing it so I can elevate you in wisdom. You will need discernment. Not everyone can walk with you through this next gate. Some came only for your struggle. And now that favor is flowing, their intentions will shift. That is why I go before you, clearing the way, revealing hearts. Do not cling to what I am removing. Let go with grace and receive with reverence. You asked for confirmation, and I am sending 3, like beacons, one after another. Each will echo louder until you cannot deny that this is divine. It won't just be a number or name. It will be a peace that floods your being, a clarity that silences the noise. You are not being teased by heaven. You are being trusted by heaven, and I am with you in every detail. I will speak again. Beloved soul, you're closer than you know. 2 minutes is not just a phrase, it is a pulse. A divine heartbeat thudding louder in the unseen, echoing into your visible world. The scroll has been handed off. The angels are already moving, and what was sealed for so long is now unlocked. I want you to feel this. Let the weight of expectation rise not from fear, but from reverence. You are standing at the threshold of what your ancestors only dreamed of. This is not merely a personal breakthrough, it is ancestral. It is generational. It is spiritual law meeting divine timing. They tried to close the door before you arrived. They whispered that you didn't belong. But I wrote your name on the foundation stones of this blessing, and I never changed my mind. This letter, it's more than news. It's more than a message. It is a mirror. It will show you who you really are. Chosen, trusted, set apart. Not just for survival, for dominion. Not just to receive, to carry. Not just to celebrate, to steward. Inside this scroll is an instruction, a command disguised as kindness, a next step wrapped in mystery. You'll know it when you read it. The words will strike your spirit like lightning behind your ribs. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. You'll say, "This can't be for me." But I say I wrote it for you. The hour of revelation is not coming. It has arrived. You are not walking toward the promise. You are inside it. Let heaven's breath rest on your shoulders. Let the fire in your belly turn to peace in your bones. You are ready for what I'm releasing. We are not done. Before the ink dries on this moment, hear me. This is not just fulfillment. It is unveiling. You've waited long, not just in time, but in trust. And now what was written in eternity is stepping into your present. This letter is the sign. The veil is lifting. The inheritance is arriving. And what I am placing in your hands is not just for your comfort, but for your calling. You were marked before you were formed. Set apart not for ease, but for impact. And though the journey has been lonely, I never left your side. Even when your faith wavered, I held the line. Even when you questioned me, I never questioned you. You were always the one I chose to rise when others bowed. The one I prepared in secret for a public restoration. The one I trusted to carry what others dropped. And now the scroll is being opened. It will not just confirm your worth. It will declare your authority. It will establish your place at a table they said you'd never sit at. You won't need to prove anything. This letter will speak for you. It will carry your memory, your integrity, your lineage, your victory. So when it comes, and it is coming, hold it with trembling hands but a steady heart. Say yes. Yes to the next level. Yes to the sacred shift. Yes to the unexplainable favor. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't minimize what heaven has maximized. You've walked through the wilderness. Now step into your inheritance. You are not who they said you were. You are who I say you are. Watch the door open. Watch the silence break. Watch the letter arrive. You are held. You are heard.